In the heart of the Serengeti National Park in northern Tanzania, amidst the vast golden plains and acacia groves, lived a lioness named Nala and her newborn cub. They had been forced to leave their pack several months earlier when Nala felt threatened by dominant males who might harm her baby. To protect her only cub, she went into solitude, choosing the harsh life of the savannah over the risks within the pack. On the day Nala left her kin, the sun was pouring warm light across the savannah, reflecting off the tall grass like a mirror. She led her baby, whom she named Simbo, through the undergrowth and over hills until she found a secluded spot among the dense bushes where she could hide. But the savannah is a place where danger lurks at every turn. Hyenas, jackals, and sometimes other lions roamed nearby, and Nala was always on the alert. Her amber eyes carefully scanned the horizon, catching the slightest rustle or movement. Simbo was still too young to understand how dangerous their world was. He happily jumped on the grass, chased butterflies and tried to catch his own tail. Nala, despite her fatigue, could not help but smile, looking at his carefree attitude. But every time he went too far, she let out a low growl, calling him back. Her maternal instinct was stronger than any fatigue. The dry season passed, and in 2023 the rainy season began in the Serengeti. Heavy clouds covered the sky, and the wind brought the smell of wet earth. The rains fell almost continuously, turning small streams into raging rivers. One of these streams, where Simbo liked to play, splashing in the shallow water, turned into a rushing stream. The water carried branches, stones, and even whole pieces of earth, creating a white foam on the surface. Nala tried to keep Simbo away from the water, but his curiosity was stronger than her warnings. One morning, after 3 days of continuous rain, Simbo, as usual, was running along the bank of the stream. The rain was pouring down, and the ground under his paws became slippery. Nala, trying to find a drier place to hide, was distracted for a moment, checking for predators nearby. At that moment, Simbo, carried away by playing with bubbles on the water, slipped on wet clay and fell into the raging stream. The current instantly picked him up, carrying him away from the shore. Nala turned and let out a deafening roar when she saw her cub struggling in the water. She ran along the bank, her paws slipping in the mud, her heart pounding with terror. She tried to catch up with Simbo, but the water was too fast and the current was carrying him away. Her roar, full of despair, echoed across the savannah, drowning out the sound of the rain. At this time, 2 park rangers, Asaf and Kibwe, were patrolling nearby. They were driving around the area in their jeep, checking the condition of the roads and making sure that animals did not get into trouble because of the flood. When they heard Nala's roar, they immediately realized that something serious had happened. Asaf braked sharply, and they, putting on raincoats, hurried to the river. Through the rain they saw Nala running along the bank and a small lion cub being carried away by the current. Kibwe, an experienced ranger, quickly assessed the situation. "We need to act now," he said. "If we don't get him out now, he won't make it." They got a strong rope and a rescue kit from the jeep. The plan was risky but simple. Asaf was to enter the water with the rope tied to his waist to try to intercept Simbo, while Kibwe remained on the bank, holding the rope and coordinating the actions. Asaf, without wasting time, tied the rope around himself and stepped into the icy water. The current was so strong that every step was difficult. He felt the water pulling him down, but he kept moving forward, guided by Simbo's feeble movements. The cub was already losing strength, his paws barely moving, and his head kept disappearing under the water. On the shore, Kibwe held the rope tightly, trying to keep Asaf from losing his balance. Nala continued to run and roar, her eyes full of fear, but a spark of hope appeared in them when she noticed the people. She did not rush at them, as if she understood that they were trying to help. Asaf, struggling with the current, finally reached Simbo. He reached out and grabbed the cub by the scruff of the neck, pressing him tightly to himself. The water tried to tear the prey from his hands, but he did not give up. "Pull!" he shouted to Kib. He began to pull the rope slowly but surely, helping Asaf and Simbo get closer to the shore. Every meter was a struggle. The rain lashed his face, water flooded his eyes, and the cold froze his body. Finally, they reached the shore. Asaf collapsed on the wet grass, breathing heavily, still holding Simbo in his arms. The cub was weak, his fur soaking wet, but he was breathing. Nala immediately ran up, her roar turning to a low purr. Kibwe and Asaph were wary, ready to retreat if the lioness thought they were a threat. Instead, Nala walked up to Simbo and began licking him, checking to make sure he was okay. Her movements were gentle but insistent, as if she wanted to make sure her cub was alive. Asaph carefully placed Simbo in front of Nala, to show that they had no ill intentions. The lioness looked at the rangers as if in gratitude. Her eyes, usually full of wild strength, were now filled with relief. She continued to lick Simbo, warming him with her heat. Kibwe took a blanket and a small supply of food from the jeep, canned meat that they kept for emergencies. He opened the can and placed it in front of Nala. The lioness, smelling the food, cautiously approached, sniffed, and began to eat, allowing Simbo to join in. The cub, despite his fatigue, greedily pounced on the meat, and Nala glanced at the rangers from time to time, as if assessing them. The rain began to subside, and the first rays of the sun broke through the clouds, painting the savanna in soft golden tone. Nala, satisfied that Simbo was okay, let out a soft roar, calling for him to follow her. The cub, still trembling, but full of life, looked at Asaph and Kibwe with his large eyes, as if saying goodbye. Then he obediently trotted after his mother, who led him towards the dense undergrowth. The rangers stood and watched as Nala and Simbo disappeared into the tall grass. Asaph took out his radio and reported the rescue and the current state of the river to the park control center. Kibwe started the jeep, and they continued patrolling, knowing that new challenges lay ahead. But their hearts were warm from the fact that they were able to give the little lion cub a chance at life. Nala and Simbo's paw prints remained in the wet ground, soon disappearing under a new layer of rain. But the story of their rescue remained, as a reminder that even in the wild savanna, there is room for compassion and courage. Friends, thank you for taking the time to read this story. If it touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to support us. See you in the next wildlife story.